Tonight, a man arrested and charged with vandalising a sculpture, and council reacts to more illegal dumping in Port Augusta.
With the latest from around the region, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening. The Port Lincoln community has been left outraged after the town's newly erected tuna polar sculpture was vandalised weeks out from the town's annual Tunarama Festival. Ratepayers are now being forced to foot the bill, which is expected to be in the thousands.
A statue to commemorate the town's fishing industry left dishonoured.
It just seems we can't have anything nice because one person wrecks it for the rest.
Residents fuming after a 21-year-old man allegedly used the tuna polar statue to do pull-ups, which left the monument badly bent.
I think it's disgusting because one person ruins it for everybody else. The money that they spend fixing it could be spent on something else for us all to use.
It's a hard blow for residents after years of community donations to fund the $250,000 monument.
Yeah, it's disappointing. So much hard work's gone into it and the money raised to make it. It's disappointing.
Contractors from Melbourne are expected to fly in to help restore the statue to its former glory.
I find it really disappointing that because it is beautiful and it's taken a lot of work.
You know, this is a new statue that's been put in place that represents, a significant part of Port Lincoln's cultural history.
Locals disheartened the statue won't be fixed in time for the town's annual Tunarama Festival next week.
People will look at it and say, what the heck, it's not even tied to the pole. It would be nice to have it done by then, but yeah, if they can't, then it's unfortunate.
To add insult to injury, ratepayers are forced to foot the bill.
We don't have a complete firm cost yet, but the estimates currently with the repair in Melbourne is somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000.
It's a shame that we have to pick up the tab to fix it. It should be perhaps those guys that did it perhaps made pay for it, and perhaps that'll stop them from doing it again.
Apparently he's doing chin-ups on it, so they all should be made to pay. I'm sure they've got jobs. If they haven't got jobs, they can clean up the foreshore for the next 6 months and that'll save us the money we spend.
The 21-year-old has been charged with property damage. He is expected to face court at a later date. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A Port Augusta resident has been handed a $1,000 fine after being caught illegally dumping rubbish. The discarded items, including clothing and food waste, were found on the outskirts of town.
Out here, just 200 metres from this sign, is where council found this, a large amount of illegally dumped goods. Port Augusta City Council patrols locating the rubbish and taking action.
In this case, they were able to find identifying documents within the waste and follow that up with the relevant people.
The offender had to cough up a $1,000 fine and fulfil a clean-up request, while also told to legally dispose of all items.
Even by dumping the waste, they don't get away with not actually having to dispose of it. And if they fail to come and clean it up, then council will organise a contractor to do that and pass on those costs as well.
Dumping waste within a licensed facility means that we handle the waste in a regulated way. So we would handle it so it doesn't get into the community and doesn't do any harm.
Not only does something such as this look trashy, it also impacts an already vulnerable environment.
Whether it be a dolphin because the waste ends up in the ocean, or whether it be a child because they're playing down at a local park where the waste somehow gets to. You just got to think about the bigger picture of who it's actually harming.
And a message to those with intent to dump illegally.
The chances are you will get discovered. It's generally frowned upon by most members of the community, so if it's not council that discovers you doing it, it may be another resident that dobs you in as well.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Bushfire-affected animals are receiving a helping hand from the Broken Hill Hospital. The health service is teaming up with the local Rana branch to donate medical supplies to carers in need.
Medical supplies that would normally end up in the bin now going to a good cause.
I can't state highly enough how much of a big initiative this is. This is massive.
Thousands of animals are currently being treated for serious injuries suffered during the recent bushfires. This week, the Broken Hill Hospital announced it's here to provide support.
In a big organisation with lots of items passing through, we do have things that either run out of date or get very close to end of date that we aren't allowed to use with people anymore.
These things include open dressing packs, wound kits that are no longer sterile, syringes and plastic bowls. Safe for animals, not for people.
So they're not things that have been used in a procedure, they've just become part of a pack. The pack's been opened. Once the pack is opened, we can't use anything that's in there, that we can't reuse it anywhere else.
The supplies will be packaged and picked up by the local Rana team. They'll then sort through what's been given and prepare it for shipping.
The best thing is that we go through and actually divide all the gear up into, say, bandages, moist dressings, iodine, for example. To do that would save a lot of time for the wildlife carers.
Miss Welsh saying there's plenty of potential to continue working with Rana to provide future supply.
Over time, we do know that we use a lot of gear every day, and a lot of gear that's absolutely perfectly fine, but we just can't reuse it with our human patients.
We can send it to collectives that will actually collect this gear, store it, and in times of emergency distribute it. So it's not going to be wasted.
Giving help to our native friends who can't help themselves. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, pieces of Port Lincoln history to be recognised on the Heritage Register, and planning underway for one of South Australia's first renewable energy festivals. Hello again. The Legislative Council's president says Whyala's profile is once again on the rise after years of turmoil. Andrew McLaughlin visited the city this week, meeting with business and community leaders.
A meeting to improve businesses and infrastructure in our region.
Come out of Adelaide as President of the Legislative Council to come out and meet people in Whyala and the Upper Spencer Gulf and hear their concerns and challenges and responding and take that information back to the government.
Besides the Whyala business owners, we have people coming from Port Pirie, Port Augusta, people are coming up from Cow.
Spending the day visiting Whyala retailers and the Mayor at City Council, grouping and property tax were just some of the businesses' concerns.
There's a great vibe or mood in Whyala. It's growing. There's a lot of enthusiasm, and we want to make sure that Whyala is one of the most significant cities in the state.
With attractions like the Whyala Jetty, Bennett Oval and the upcoming $100 million school, the government insists these developments will continue to promote growth in businesses.
It's their opportunity to listen to us and vice versa, and it's a two-way street. And if they don't know what the problems are, well, they can hardly fix them.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
In what's being described as a win for local historians, Port Lincoln's dormant rail site has been provisionally listed on South Australia's Heritage Register. It's hoped the preserved buildings and track will help keep the rich history of the railway alive for generations to come.
In its heyday, historians say these tracks served an important purpose, helping connect towns and communities across the Eyre Peninsula.
It saved so many towns all the way up to Penong.
After nearly a year since the last train moved on, the Port Lincoln Railway site is being provisionally recognised on the Heritage Register, a win for local historians.
Everything to do with the railway needs to be preserved because the railway opened up Eyre Peninsula.
Margaret Tilson's family, like many others then, grew up and worked on the line. She says it was the lifeblood of the region.
My father worked in the railway. Oh, so many men did. And it was our life. The railway was Port Lincoln.
The railway workshops and turntable is still in its original condition when it was first constructed in the 1920s.
It is the last fully integrated operational railway workshops in the state.
More than 600 kilometres of rail stretch across the peninsula, isolated from the rest of the state. As the tracks became busier, historians say the development of the turntable and roundhouse became vital to service and maintain the locomotives.
It is the last example of a major phase in the development, the evolution of railways in South Australia.
The decision to list the site permanently on the Heritage Register will be made later this year.
They're opening it up for comment for a couple of months. People can make submissions in favour or against the listing.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
South Australia's first Green Power Festival is coming to Port Augusta in just a matter of months. Organisers say planning is on track to host 4 fun-filled days full of activities and information on the renewable energy sector.
As the old power station came down, renewables came up. Port Augusta becoming a renewable hub, hosting the inaugural Green Power Festival beginning on April 1st.
The first time that this region's be able to come to a one-stop shop to find out about all the things that they can do to save money on their power bills and invest in renewable energy into the future.
Port Augusta, a perfect backdrop, with large-scale renewable projects already in the works, taking advantage of what Mother Nature has to offer.
It's got amazing natural attributes. In other words, we've got the daylight, we've got the wind, and we're close to the old power line and power grid. So it's a natural fit for renewable energy generation.
A gala will be held in the Barracks on April 4th. The Big Band Theory headlining along with local acts.
We've got Andy Kilcross, who's a local GP in Port Augusta, who's an amazing acoustic musician. And then that'll be followed by a Braska, which is an Adelaide band. Lead singer is Gabrielle Ballard, who's a local girl from Port Augusta.
Those wishing to buy tickets to the gala can go to Eventbrite's website.
And we're hoping the local people will get behind and support it.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Whyalla Steelworks has refused to rule out future job cuts after 350 employees were axed from its steel plants in the UK. A GFG Alliance spokesperson said there were no plans for widespread workforce changes and employees would remain priority should future changes occur. The company has more than 1,200 employees, with future projects underway, a move it says safeguards local jobs. Stay with us. Coming up after the break, a massive ship dismantled at Port Pirie and a Whyalla op shop prepares for a huge sale for bushfire relief. Welcome back. The dismantling of a former Australian Navy vessel at Port Pirie's dock is in its final stages. The vessel is soon to be voyaging to Whyalla, where the remains will be recycled at the steelworks.
The Port Pirie dock is currently a hive of activity, local workers reaching new heights dismantling this 8,000-tonne ship. Previously sailing Australian oceans, this former Navy vessel is in its final stages of life.
Parts onto the wharf, the shear over there cuts it up and we send it away for recycling.
Dismantling the ship since October, the project has also welcomed 30 jobs to the town.
We've got about 35 people working on here. About half of them have been employed locally.
The acting council CEO welcoming the project, declaring it to open up new possibilities for the port.
Council is, I think, hopefully on behalf of most of the community, quite pleased to see that extra activity here. Economic activity means jobs.
But soon the ship will be voyaging across the Gulf to Whyalla, where the steelworks will be processing the remains.
Bring a bit of work to Whyalla as well and utilise the slipways that have been shut down for quite a few years.
As the dismantling wraps up, there's still possibilities of future project collaborations in between the Iron Triangle.
Well, in the future we'd like to continue this type of work, utilising the berth and the slipway in Whyalla for other similar type projects.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A popular Whyalla op shop has joined a long list of locals supporting those affected by bushfires. The team have spent the day preparing for the big event, raising money for the SA Disaster Appeal.
Someone's trash could be your new treasure. Ada Op Shop holding a blazing fundraiser event.
We're raising money to support the people on Kangaroo Island and in the Adelaide Hills who have been affected by the fires. And we're hoping here at ADRA in Whyalla that we're able to just help that little bit.
Next Wednesday from 10 till 2, you can grab a bargain from just 50 cents with a range of homely items and delicious foods on offer.
Hot potatoes with all those yummy fillings. We're having a sausage sizzle We've also got our kitchen open, our cafe open, where people can buy cakes and jams and relishes.
We're going to do donut eating, which I haven't seen for a long time, so we're going to get the kids nice and sticky. So I think it'll be fun.
With giveaways also available to children who bring their best Aussie toy.
We're going to have big boxes of toys that the kids can actually take a free toy from, just to say thanks, kids, for coming along as well.
ADRA also encouraged businesses to join the family-friendly day.
We would like to get other people to come in and have a stall. We're charging $10 for a stall 3 metres by 3 metres, which is a gazebo size, and they're able to sell whatever they want.
Come in, we've got so much here for you to look at, from shoes to toys to clothes, and every 50 cents goes towards these people in need. Every bit of money we raise goes to them.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
And Port Pirie residents are gearing up for a city run tomorrow morning as part of a fundraiser for bushfire-affected communities. Starting at 9 on Florence Street, participants will have a choice of a 5, 10 or 21-kilometre running track. Entry is $50, with all proceeds going towards the Red Cross's fire appeal. More information can be found online. Aspiring nurses in the Broken Hill region are encouraged to apply for the 2020 Enrolled Nurse Scholarships. Applications are now open for the scholarships to study nursing across New South Wales, including in the Far West. Successful applicants are supported with course fees and guaranteed a job offer upon completion. Entries close mid-February. Stay with us after the break. This week's cricket tips, and we'll have the weather with Britt. Hello again. Now time for us to hear from those in the know with this week's cricket tips.
Hello and welcome to round 12 of Port Pirie cricket. This round starts with props taking on Solly North at Memorial Oval. Solly North have slipped to third after a strong start to the season, while props are starting to find some form and will be looking for their batters to post a high score. I'm tipping props. In the other match, it's Wandera up against the informed Port Germain. Port Germain have been impressive in their debut season in the A-grade competition with their aggressive style of cricket. I'm tipping Wandera.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Port House Cricket for the year 2020. This week we see South Augusta take on Corn at Etzer Oval. This should be a good match. South have lost their best player, Greg Shirley, to work commitments in the Northern Territory. So I'm going with Greg gone, I'm going to lean towards Corn winning this match. The other match sees West Augusta take on Central Stirling. Both teams have been winning lately. This is going to be a tough match. It's going to be held at Westie's home ground at Chinnery Park, so I'm going to lean towards West Augusta to beat Central Stirling. So there are my two winners, Corn and West Augusta.
Welcome to this week's Port Lincoln Cricket Tips. This week sees association cricket, and Port Lincoln will travel up to Tumby Bay to take on them in the first and second 11. A big win last week for Port Lincoln in the first and second 11 should see them back on track here again, having another comfortable victory over Tumby if all goes well. Be two good games of cricket, head up to Tumby to check them out. And Sunday sees the 2020 Grand Final here in Port Lincoln at Centenary Oval. Charlton and Waybacks take on each other. This will be a really good game of cricket. Two great sides going up against each other. Get a tip Charlton to win this one. Thanks for listening to Port Lincoln Cricket Tips.
The last final game of the 2020 competition in Broken Hill cricket for the season this weekend. In the first game, West take on South. Both these sides are fighting for third place on the premiership ladder. I'm actually tipping South in this game. I think they've been around the mark the last few games, and the 2020 style suits their play. I think the Southerners could record a win over West. In the second game, this will decide the 2020 participants in next year's South Australian Country Carnival. Norths and Centrals. Norths would need to record a good win in this. I think they can beat Central. Whether they can beat them by a significant margin remains to be seen, but this should be an excellent game and a very tight one at that.
And for a look at your weekend weather, here's Britt Aylen.
Thanks, Louise. It's been a mild but sunny summer's day. Port Augusta, Broken Hill and Port Pirie all recording tops of 29 degrees. Whyalla 26, Port Lincoln 19. Here's a look at today's satellite with clear skies over the Gulf under a ridge of high pressure. Moving on to tomorrow now on the waters, winds south to southwesterly at up to 20 knots with seas up to 1.5 metres. Sunrise at 25 past 6. Mostly fine conditions forecast across the region. Broken Hill looking at a top of 32 degrees. Port Augusta 30. Corn, Port Pirie and Kadina all 29 tomorrow. Clare 28. Whyalla 27. Woodna 25. Cleve 24. Coffin Bay 22. Port Lincoln a top of 20 degrees. Let's quickly look ahead at Sunday and into next week. Showers forecast for Port Lincoln Sunday and Monday. Cleve also with showers on Sunday, looking fine at the start of next week. Woodna remaining mostly fine, warming up a little on Tuesday. Whyalla with showers on Sunday, partly cloudy Monday, Tuesday. Port Augusta looking fine Sunday and Monday, warm and sunny on Tuesday though. Showers at Kadina on Sunday with strong winds on Monday. Port Pirie and Cleve both expecting showers on Sunday, fine conditions Monday and Tuesday. Broken Hill looking to be partly cloudy Sunday and Monday. And Louise, that's the weather. Enjoy your weekend.
All right, thank you for that, Britt. And that's your local news this Friday evening. Thank you for joining us this week. We hope you have a lovely and safe weekend. See you Monday. Good night.